Get over here!
So we only really have one choice for training here, and that's Hamill Canyon. Could we do more? Yes, but we already did the Zaha Woods, and we already did Bethrowin. I know some people said they wouldn't mind us if we did this a little more, but again, we do want to limit ourselves to some degree. More to the point, actually, we could just go to Narub River right now and like continue with the story, but John and I don't have a lot of time in our recording session to do something that big right now, because just now we did the whole thing with Renee Castle. That was a big chapter.
Yeah, the day's getting late, but...
Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead right to Hamill Canyon and see what is in store for us.
Yeah, let's get a few more levels.
Especially now, again, we have, like, pretty much everyone that we wanted to promoted, so at this point it's just a matter of gathering some, like, much-needed experience. I think this will also be a good opportunity to show off what Erica and Ephraim can do, because they just promoted.
Let me look really quick what promotion items we can get next chapter. But...
Oh, like, for the possibility of maybe training someone that isn't?
Yeah, I guess we don't really have to, though.
I mean, the only other character that I can think of, if we want to go back to the units right now, the only other characters that I can think of that could possibly fit that bill are, Cormag. I'm gonna be honest, really just Cormag. Like, actually Ford, too, possibly. Yeah. Like, if we wanted to get him up there. We do have an extra Knight's Crest. And again, we did consider Null, but I honestly don't really have much of an interest in using Null.
It's just not worth the trouble anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So the only other two characters I can think of that we could bring into this for possible level grinding is Ford and Cormag.
Now let's just bring some of our like low-level promoted units.
That's pretty much my thought. And Erica and Ephraim, like, this will be a good opportunity to show off what they can do now that they've been promoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bring our level 1 promoted units for the most part, really.
Yep. Yeah, Ross can come.
We have room for one more. I guess we could bring, well, Artur pretty much has us covered in terms of healing with that Mend, as well as, no one else, actually. So, probably should bring a healer. Maybe Loot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Natasha is pretty much fine as is at this point.
She's already level 4, so let's do Loot.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I don't even think we need to do any skip. We can kind of just have at it here, can't we?
Yeah, let's just jump right in.
Alright, sounds good to me. Just gonna do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, let's go.
TGIF, thank God, isn't foggy.
Yeah, I actually brought a torch with Marissa just in case, even though we're not using Marissa in this chapter, shockingly, but honestly, she's doing perfectly fine as is. So right out of the gate, a couple things actually that someone brought to my attention in some previous comments, right? Centaurs, the Tarvos, do count as mounted.
Oh, cool.
So you can actually you can actually do shenanigans with them with Zambato and things like that. Same thing with like the gargoyles, which are technically flyers, so like, you know, arrows are super effective against them.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, right out of the gate, I can tell you right now that I think I want, Garrick to just go into the woods here and kind of just take these guys as they come. So, yeah, nothing too crazy going on today. We're just gonna do a simple, run-of-the-mill skirmish here. We do need to take care of this bloke real quick. Oh yeah, by the way, Lute can use Excalibur.
Wow.
Look at that nonsense! I'm not gonna use it here, because it's like that.
Save it, but like, wow.
Like, that would be a bit of a waste, but like, damn though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like especially with like getting a few extra levels here in these skirmishes, I think we're gonna find ourselves overpowered for some of the chapters ahead.
Which, like, I'm okay with like going right into how do you pronounce it? Whatever that river was, right after this.
Yeah.
We're just basically doing this to take advantage of the fact that, like, you know, we want to get in as much as we can, and this is the only training chapter that we have access to at this point, like, without repeating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a lot of monsters coming at us. Thankfully, like, We're not surrounded like we were in the last chapter we were here, which was, like, dumb. So, yeah, we pretty much, are good here. That freaking, this freaking Moth Duke can go so far.
Yeah, they have movement. They move like they're mounted units.
But no one else is really in danger there, so I think what we can do is just, like, put a small little wall here. With some more, tanky units, and we should be perfectly fine. I don't think the Dukes, count as mounted, but the Tarvos definitely do.
Yeah, they have very high movement speeds, though.
Mm-hmm.
What is, we were talking about, Wolf Riders at the end of last episode.
Yeah.
So I had a question for you.
Yeah?
So certain classes, yeah, your Cavaliers, your Fighters, your Maidens, Mages, Archers, etc.
Yeah.
What is a class that has only appeared, like, maybe once or twice, but is, like, not a mainstay class that you'd like to see come back in the next Fire Emblem game?
Oh, this one's easy for me, actually.
Like, I would even say you could pick something like Wolf Rider or something that, like, had its premiere in Engage.
Wolf Riders would definitely be up there, because, like, they're just really, really cool. I also dig the idea of, like, a mounted unit that uses daggers in addition to, the usual, like, swords and whatnot. I just think that, like, I honestly just think the Wolf Riders are just really cool.
I love daggers as a weapon, too. I think knives, daggers should stay a weapon type.
I completely agree. I really like how they reworked them in Engage 2.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, instead of, like, you know, damage over time with the poison is, like, makes you more susceptible to other damage. I thought that was a really smart way to do it. I know we've discussed this before.
Unnecessary crit.
But, you know what? All the sweeter, because that is one of the best critical animations in all of Fire Emblem history, bar none. I don't care what anyone says.
This is what Joshua does once he's promoted.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is Joshua in his prime now.
Like, no one, absolutely no one, Joshua splits into 5 images.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, that would be the, that would be the logic behind, the idea with Lyn as a lord, is that she can basically do that. But, they clearly went, like, ham with the idea on her end, because, goodness gracious, like, she gets work done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the classic afterimage thing, where it's like, you're moving so fast that, like, you're seeing double type of thing. Going back to your question, however, one class I definitely want to see return, it's only ever been in Fates, actually. The Master of Arms.
That's a cool one, yeah.
I really dig that one because I like the idea of just a unit that is just really good with all martial weapons, kind of like the War Master class in Octopath Traveler.
It was swords, lances, axes. Yeah, all three.
Like basically
which generals and Great Knights can do in this game.
Yeah,
it was a little
like,
different.
I like it. I like it being on a infantry unit. And, like, the way, like, it was mostly for the style, I'm gonna be honest with you, because goodness gracious, did they go ham with the animations for, you know, that. Yeah, look at that. Rapier is super effective against them.
Cool. Good to know. This wouldn't be my pick because it's kind of janky.
Yeah.
But I've always liked the Ballistician. Which was its own class in Shadow Dragon.
Yeah, Shadow Dragon, and
I think in the DLC for Shadows of Valentia, there was like a Ballistician.
Yeah, yeah. But eventually they, like, made it so that the Ballisticians can just be your, like, run-of-the-mill archers.
Yes, archers, if they find a ballista, they can operate.
Exactly.
But there was something really fun about having a character who just rides around on one.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was, like, going to pick a class to bring back to make like a mainstay.
That?
It wouldn't be Ballisticians because I do think though that it like they do kind of break balance.
I will say there is a class that they introduced in the DLC of Engage that kind of fits a similar bill, and it's the Mage Cannoneer.
Ooh.
It's a similar vein, is that they're an armored unit, but they're equipped with a cannon that shoots arcane missiles.
Okay.
Or like arcane bombs. So like it has the same range as a ballista, but they're mounted, they're slow, but like they're inaccurate. But hey, it's a free shot from God knows where.
That'd be pretty cool.
So yeah, no, they actually did kind of do that in Engage. So kinda sorta. Again, it's not the exact same thing, but like, you know, I can imagine it would, like, I wouldn't be like entirely surprised if it wasn't some sort of homage to the Cannoneers of old, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Another one that I thought was kind of cool that I'm surprised hasn't come back in some form is there's a character in Shadow Dragon named Zane.
Oh yeah.
Who was a chameleon.
Yes.
And the whole thing was you could turn them into a copy of any of your other units.
Mm-hmm.
And that had some fun stuff going on with it.
I can think of another one actually that I would like to see rebalanced. Is from this game actually, the Summoner.
Summoner's a good one.
I would really like to see Summoners.
I think that would actually be my choice now.
Yeah, because like the idea of being able to just spawn a simple unit in like on the field, like it has 1 HP. It's going to go down very quickly, but the tactical like applications you can do with that sort of thing is just unparalleled. There's so much you can do with that, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
I always thought Trickster was a cool class from Awakening. It's like a thief with magic, thief with tomes.
Oh yeah, like that was Anna's class, right?
Yeah, and also Gangrel's.
That's right, I forgot Gangrel could. It's weird to me that Gangrel can use healing staves. You wouldn't think that, right?
It makes some sense to me a little bit because he's like a Weasley little guy and he'd be afraid of dying, so he'd know how to heal. That's
fair, if it only weren't for the fact that the healing staves can't heal themselves for some reason. Although in some games they can. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, healers can use the staves that they have to heal themselves.
Also, butlers and maids I thought was a cool combination of having both knives and healing.
I do like that too.
Knives and staves.
Okay, another one that kind of, like, is a similar fit to that bill, but not really. There was a class that they introduced also in the DLC of Engage, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but, it came alongside with the Cannoneer, in that it's a martial arts unit who can use daggers and, like, unarmed, attacks and scrolls, but their whole deal is that they use items to buff themselves and anyone around them. So like say you use a strength tonic, suddenly everyone around you gets the benefit of the strength tonic and gets a special effect, like any damage that they deal has a multiplier of 1.5 to their damage. They use a defense tonic, suddenly they get a parry ability. Things like that.
There's a character like that in a Triangle Strategy who specializes in consumable items.
I would not be surprised if like they had some like sort of inspiration on that regard as well, because like that idea is just cool to me. Like, you know, like it would also be a really I'll put it to you this way, like call me like old-fashioned or something, but when I was playing through Engage or like, you know, playing through like new Fire Emblem and they had those items like the strength tonics, the defense tonics, the luck tonics and all that jazz. I never used them. I never ever found a reason to use them because I just felt like, you know what, like my inventory and my gold could be better spent on healing items, vulneraries and all that jazz.
Definitely.
I didn't start using them until that class where suddenly I can get special effects and cool features from using them with this specific class. So I will give them credit on that end. So going back to the Summoner for a moment, I do know that they also did a bit of a thing with them. Oh, you have a hand axe. You also have a dragon axe, interestingly. I kind of want to get rid of you, honestly.
War Cleric was a cool one, too. Axes and staves.
Oh, yeah.
Like Libra.
Like War Cleric or the War Priest.
That was it, War Priest.
It's actually both. The men are the War Priests. The women are the War Clerics.
That's it.
Because you can also make Lissa a War Cleric.
Right.
Which, by the way, I consider her default form because, like, War Cleric Lissa is just super fun.
That's what they use in a Fire Emblem Warriors also,
yeah,
right?
and she was, like, one of the best characters in Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah, I never played that one. I'm just, like, not... Like, Musou just it doesn't really do it for me, the Musou games.
Nah, I can understand that.
I don't have anything against them, they're just not my cup of tea. I've played Hyrule Warriors, and I've played Age of Calamity, and I've played Persona 5 Strikers. And all of them are kind of like, this is neat, but I wish it was like any other kind of game.
Nah, I can understand that to a certain degree, definitely.
Yeah. I do get that there's depth in them, though.
Sorry, I'm kind of just, like, checking here.
That's alright, you do you.
Okay, yeah, I want to change you to have a sword. So, Erica, let's have you come up here, and you can, do a little bit of maintenance here. Yeah, like, I'm not too worried about, like, everything that's going on here, but at the same time, I don't want to rest on our laurels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, things can still very much go south if we let them. Going back to the summoner thing, as I said earlier, by the way, I know they also did that kind of thing with the cleric and the priest class in Shadows of Valencia, where you can spawn ghosts.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, is how I cheese the final map.
Oh, I was doing that with Genny so much.
Like, dude, like... It was kind of bullshit, the, like, crap that you have to deal with in Shadows of Valencia, that, like, I took whatever...
You turn into a war of attrition, and
yeah,
you
like,
slowly push forward.
I took whatever advantage I could with that game, and yeah, being able to summon, like, ghosts with the clerics was just way too valuable. Most of the time, it's because, like, oh, hey, the enemy spots, like, a unit they can kill, they're immediately gonna go for it, and it's like, yeah, that's just way too, like... That's way too good to pass up. Okay, so... yeah, let's try this. Hey, Monster, maybe you could, like, get out of the way and run while he's tapping his foot like that and getting ready? Just saying. You know?
They can't, they're too intimidated.
Like,
The
Ephraim,
tap sends a message.
Like, Ephraim, like, I understand, but, like, watch Erica. Efficient. Efficient, quick, to the point. Literally to the point. She slashes them with the point of their sword. Okay, we got the spiders. Yeah, I'm fine with Garrick just handling this one. Any other classes that you can think of that you'd be, like, fun to have back?
I will say I liked ninjas and master ninjas, like, conceptually, but there were times in Fates where they got really cheap.
Yeah.
There'd be missions where you were fighting all master ninjas and they were so annoying.
If you ask me, like, the butlers and the maids were, like, the balanced version of ninjas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, maybe it's just my, like, Gaijin Goomba speaking here, and it's like, you know, ninjas shouldn't be this good at fighting.
Yeah.
Like, ninjas were good at fighting, but they took every opportunity to not fight.
Yeah.
Is the thing. So, like, I don't know, like, I've always wanted, I guess for me personally, I've always wanted to know, or to see that, like, you know, the ninja be more of a utility class. Like, again, I like what they did with the daggers in Engage. Like, make them saboteurs. Make them, like,
yeah.
Oh, hey, this enemy is now weakened with my poison. I can use, like, this, I can use my daggers to, like, cut their attack or something. Hey, you guys, come over here. I weakened this guy for you, type of thing. You know what I mean?
That's something that definitely, I don't think Fire Emblem necessarily lends itself to as much as other tactical games.
That's
like, there's
true.
not as many other objectives for scout-type units to do.
That is fair.
Like, that's something you could do a lot more in, like, Advanced Wars and stuff like that. Or, I always liked in some real-time strategy games, like...
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go for it. You're good.
Like in the Command and Conquer series.
Oh, yeah.
You could build spies who could disguise themselves as an enemy unit, and if they went into any of your opponent's buildings, it would, like, shut down that building.
Ah, okay.
So you could, like, put them into, like, the enemy power plant, and then, like, the other player would suddenly have, like, less power output than they did before, and some of their buildings would stop working, and they'd be like, wait, what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
A spy got in.
I know I've been bringing this game up a lot because, like, again, it is relevant, but, like, Baldur's Gate does that a lot as well, and a lot of games like it, too. Where, like, you can do so much, like, to accomplish the same goal. Like, oh, hey, there's a bunch of zombies here. You can turn undead, or you can make a stone wall, lead them towards this area, and then, like, drop a giant fire on them, type of thing, you know what I mean? Or, like, fool the enemy into thinking that you can disguise yourself as one of their officers or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, recommendation for DMs, try and come up with encounters where there are interesting things to do besides straight up fighting the enemy.
Yeah, like, kick the door in, like, encounters are definitely have their place and everything, but if you're looking for something a little more, like, you know, a little more specialized, then yeah, you, oh, we got Maldwins! Keep that in mind.
Like, I like designing heists a lot, or, like...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How you had that one that was, like, at a ball, and there was a whole thing with, like, dancing with different people to get information.
It was that, and also they were dancing to keep, everyone's attention on the ball.
Yeah.
One of the characters was suddenly dancing really, really expertly, so they were being, like, very, like, professional, very, like, very, like, oh, wow, this guy's actually a really good dancer. Think Garrus and Shepard in Mass Effect, where, like, suddenly they're stealing the show, and, like, everyone's, like, you know, paying attention to the dancers that are cutting up a rug and whatnot. Meanwhile, the other two characters, the ones that are not good at that, are upstairs, like, infiltrating the palace and trying to find the proof of a murder type thing, or proof of conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes!
I designed a campaign that was only 6 sessions long, but basically it all revolved around this heist where my main inspiration for it was the beginning of Final Fantasy IX, where they come in as a troupe of traveling performers, and they have to be putting on this show while at the same time other people are going in and kidnapping the princess / stealing whatever other treasures they can get while they're in there.
Yeah.
So it became this thing where, like, one character played a bard. This was in Pathfinder, but they, like, completely played a, like, no combat bard, and it was all just, like, enthrall and, like, stuff designed to draw attention to themselves.
Nice. Yeah, no, like, there's plenty of things that you can do with a non-combat class. I remember my friend Ollie created an investigator, and, like, that character was not combat-centric. Like, he could defend himself, but a lot of the times is, like...
He wasn't going to be dishing out the heavy damage.
His whole thing, actually, was, like, oh, hey, we're in an encounter now. Knowledge nature to know what weaknesses this character has. Knowledge, like, or knowledge arcana to understand what kind of magic that this wizard is using. Knowledge the planes to understand what kind of extraplanar creatures we're deling with in this encounter.
He was like early Final Fantasy scholars.
Yes, he was the one who was like, hey, you guys are dealing with this encounter. Nice crit, Erica. You guys are dealing with this encounter. Don't worry about thinking how to go about it. I will let you know.
Yeah.
It was actually really cool, and he was also just really good at, like, dealing with the whole, like, mystery aspect, in that, like, he provided opportunities to basically be like, ooh, that guy's got a sword slayer. So this guy's gonna come in with that bow. We basically just have to, like, bait him in here, because their whole thing matches here. But he will go over here and he'll use a steel bow. What's your defense, Garrick? You're pretty good at this. Oh, yeah, I think Garrick can handle this just fine. What kind of axe are you using? You're using a steel axe. Yeah, just come in here with a sword and we'll just, like, let them come to us?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I trust Garrick to be able to handle this. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's another fun way you can, like, make some characters have, like, a kind of utility, is if you, as the DM, give certain characters information that not everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one time for our Southern Islands campaign,
Yeah.
you were going to be infiltrating a pirate stronghold.
Mm-hmm.
And Patty's character Lilith had worked with these pirates before.
Yeah.
No one else had. I remember Locke, like, one of his biggest goals was he wanted to, like, take down the pirate lords because he was a bounty hunter.
Yes.
Or he was a mercenary, but, you know. He could have gotten a lot of... He would have gotten a lot of money for turning in the pirates.
Mm-hmm.
But Lilith was the only character who had worked there before, so I sent Patty the map of the stronghold and said, you can't show this to anyone else. But while we're playing the game, it's going to be, like, revealed every time you enter in a new room. You know the exact shape of this place the entire time.
Cool.
And I think Lilith even was keeping, like, secret at the time that she had ties to these pirates.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
like, then that, like, gave her character this, like, interesting edge of being, like, if you got, like, outnumbered at a certain point, and then she'd suddenly be like, here, quick, run this way, because she would know that there was, like, a thin hallway here where you could bottleneck them.
Alright, yeah, I do remember, that being a thing.
You could do a lot of really fun encounters with... There's a lot more to making encounters than just what the enemies are.
One of my favorite characters that I ever made was Felix, who was also a bard,
I remember
by the
Felix.
way.
Yeah.
But his whole thing is that, so rather than being your regular bard, like, because when you think of D&D, like, or fantasy bard, what do you think? Like, songs that can buff your, like, that can buff your allies, Sonic-based magic maybe, and things like that, right?
Yeah.
He was that, but kind of the opposite. Felix's whole thing was that he was a court bard, in that rather than, like, you know, rallying his allies and, like, buffing them with, like, you know, confident songs and, like, you know, like ballads of, like, great courage and, like, inspiration, his job was to insult you.
Yeah, he could demoralize the enemy.
Yeah, like, basically, like, Felix was Vicious Mockery the character.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, some of the stuff you can do as a court bard in D&D is actually really, really fun. Especially when you're put in charge of, when you're put in charge of, like, you know, coming up with insults for, like, other players to hear while you're doing that. So that was always fun. Yeah, I'm willing to give this one to Ephraim. Because Sword Slayer, he's gonna absolutely wreck this guy.
Oh. Oh, no.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Control-Alt-Delete.
That's not even Siegeman either. That's Regenleaf.
Yeah.
Alright, well, there you go. What is it with us and going into skirmishes, and our immediate thought is to go into D&D talk?
Yeah, it's just... D&D is also a turn-based, often grid-based game.
Yeah, straight up, like, a lot of Fire Emblem was inspired by Dungeons & Dragons, and I don't care what anyone says. A lot of fantasy stuff was inspired
Pretty much
by...
all RPGs start with Dungeons & Dragons.
In some way, shape, or form.
Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Including Final Fantasy.
Like Final Fantasy, the Tales of series, even games that you might not expect, like Mass Effect. Yeah, that kind of stuff, like, was inspired by D&D, whereas, like, you know, Dragon Age is, like, classic Dungeons & Dragons. I guess you could say Mass Effect is closer to maybe something like Warhammer 40k.
D&D has an official, sci-fi setting now. They have you can get Starjammers books that let you, like, set a D&D
Oh, hell
campaign in space, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone, like, ever tries to do, like, a space-themed or, like, a sci-fi themed campaign within Dungeons & Dragons, I'm just gonna say right now, you can totally replace the magic system with psionics.
Yeah.
Like, psionics, psychics, things like that.
It's the same thing.
Like, super easy. I remember Amber actually told me this one time, like, you know how mages do the whole, like, wave their hands to, like, you know, cast magic and, like, do incantations and whatnot? Imagine if, like, how much you want to bet that what we're seeing is just them randomly moving their hands, but in the mage's mind, they actually see, like, a heads-up display, and the motions that they're doing with their hands is actually moving the heads-up display and moving the parts to where they need to be in order to cast the right spell.
They're doing like the Tony Stark screens.
Yeah. Okay, I need Fireball. I'm going to pull this menu up. Okay, move this over here. There's the fire incantation. Mix that with the incantation for a big giant bomb. There's Fireball. And they push it forward.
I'm going to make my next D&D character Bill Gates, but a wizard.
There you go.
Like, I'm just going to drag and drop level 3 into the Fireball folder.
I'll see you guys next time.
I'm not even recycling you. You're getting permanently deleted.
Does that mean that when Stephen Hawking casts spells, all he needs to use is verbal components?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That makes him a sorcerer. He's doing metamagic feats.
Dude, he would absolutely, like, he would basically be channeling Mr. X. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, that... Don't underestimate someone like Stephen Hawking or anyone else like that. They are probably the most powerful people in the room.
So is Bill Nye a wizard or a bard?
Ooh, what's a mix of that?
Like, I think he's both.
He might be both.